Next time I ask someone for nudes and they don't reply, I'm gonna file
This is my human right.
a human rights complaint.
Send me nudes.
Yeah.
Now.
You heard it here first from not me, by the way. You deserve intimacy. Welcome to the Audacity.
In this episode, we're joined by a very special guest to talk about long distance relationships.
Woohoo.
Welcome back.
Episode 7. You've made it.
You've made it.
We've made it.
We've made it. Thank you so much for tuning in to
Yeah.
our previous episodes.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, welcome for the first time. You've picked a really good episode to join on.
Yeah, it's going to be a special one.
A very special one.
One of our firsts
Aw.
also. It's
First time.
a first time.
That's cute. You'll never forget it. I won't. I've already forgotten where I'm going with the sentence. But before we get into this episode, we have 2 disclaimers we need to make.
Yes.
The
Numero uno.
first one, we are recording these today before the election has happened.
And by the election, we mean the American election.
Yes.
The only election everyone's talking about at this point.
Whoops. But this episode won't be published until after the election.
So, in the heart of our hearts, we're praying, although we're not religious at all,
Yeah.
that Biden and Harris
Yes.
will win.
I've been on my knees all week just praying for that exact outcome.
We've all been on our knees. Anyway.
If you've also been on your knees, it's probably because you listened to our previous episode about sex education.
And you're applying it IRL.
Yes. But I guess the disclaimer there, yeah, we don't know how the election went. Let's try to manifest some optimism by keeping this topic lighthearted.
Definitely.
Otherwise, if we sound really out of touch right now, then
Yeah.
oops. First disclaimer done. And how about the second disclaimer?
The second disclaimer is that we really went in and believed the word of our
Our savior.
Lord and Savior Cardi B
Oh,
in the previous episode.
amen. I mean, you know, if you're listening,
Exactly.
we are following her teachings.
However, we were not medically accurate in stating that you should brush your teeth.
Yeah, a little correction there. Well, what we did, if you listen to our whole episode, you actually know we had a guest star come at the very end. Miss Cardi B herself
Please don't copyright us. Thank you very much.
left some words of wisdom at the end of our episode. So hopefully you enjoyed that little clip that we absolutely stole. So I hope she doesn't sue us. I hope she knows this was an homage.
If she does sue us, please, anyone who wants to sponsor us, we'll use your
Oh, no.
sponsorship money to fund our lawyers.
Maybe a law firm wants to sponsor us. I think she would be flattered, but you're right. She does say one thing in there, which is to brush your teeth before sex, which is not the medically advisable thing to do.
So if you're sexually active and if you're
Yeah.
genuinely following the advice that we give,
Yeah,
then don't brush your teeth.
We just didn't want to.
before
Don't brush
sex.
your teeth. That's not the takeaway.
before sex.
Not right before sex, because you know what it can do. It can make like little tears in your gums,
Oh,
and then you have an open wound,
and
that's nothing you want a dick around, or
any fluids
or any
around.
fluids around.
Yeah.
So brush your teeth in the morning, honey, and then do a little mouthwash and have some gum before.
Yeah.
That's what Cardi B wanted to say. She was just so emphatic with her message.
Yes.
I get it, bigger things to worry about, but we wanted y'all to be safe and healthy.
Exactly. Now, moving on to our very, very exciting episode that we've planned for you.
We are joined by someone for the very first time in our living room basement studio.
And she's our very special friend and a friend we've had since the beginning of university.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And we've had lots of fun times together. And I think, we've all seen each other not sober. So that's a true test of friendship.
Yes.
But she's like the most wonderful, lovely person ever. Kind of a creepy thing to say, but I want to record her voice so that I can hear it all the time because I'm in love with her accent.
Oh my God, me too.
Like she has the most
Any opportunity I get.
like I will make her read Apple's terms and agreements
Yeah.
just to hear her speak. She's
Oh,
wonderful. Anyway, without further ado,
judge that for yourself. Let's welcome our special
Yes.
guest, Mana.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here.
We're happy that you're here too.
We're so excited. Like so excited.
I'm like a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
Good.
Um,
It's our first time too.
but also, yeah, hearing my voice is not something I like, so it's always interesting to hear what you guys have to say about it. I like that though.
We love your voice. We
Yeah.
love your accent. We love you in
Oh, thank
general.
you.
But
No, but yeah, Mana's been our friend from uni since almost the beginning.
Yeah,
we actually
almost
have
the
a we have a really fun friendship
intro
story. Let's just tell it real quick. So we met. We know each other through a mutual friend, but I met you in the hallway at uni in between classes one day, and I was just very busy and overwhelmed that day, and I had my hands full of like a backpack and coffee.
Oh God, and I came in for the hug, didn't I? I think I came in for the hug, and I think you were like, "Oh my God."
You came in for the hug, and I forgot that was a thing people do when they meet each other.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. I was not in Europe anymore. I was like, we're gonna
Yeah.
have a formal handshake. I'm
Well-
like, I can't shake your hand right now. I'm so sorry.
So funny thing is, back at home, everybody just hugs.
Yeah.
It's just like you meet somebody,
Yeah.
you hug them,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like still my go-to was to just hug people. And I remember just like coming in for the hug, and you were obviously taken aback, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so awkward." And I think I wanted to call you Daniel for like the first semester that I knew you. I don't know why.
You don't look like a Daniel.
You don't look
though.
like a Daniel. But I remember like, but it was so funny. And then after that, we just clicked and had a great
Yeah.
friendship.
Yeah.
That's true. But I love a funny origin story.
Yeah.
And it was my fault. I'm quite a hugger. I was just really out of it that day. But the fact I just forgot that was a thing you could do to meet someone.
Just hug people.
Yeah.
I was quickly trained out of that being
Yeah.
in Europe.
Yeah.
And I guess I
true.
didn't have enough training into it.
Mm.
Anyways, you're here today
Yes.
because we need to talk about something really important that the two of you have some experience with, which is long distance relationships.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, maybe not dun dun dun, but we'll find out in the next however long this episode is.
Yeah.
But since you're our guest, I'll make you go first, I guess. What is your experience with long distance relationships?
Well, so I've had two long distance relationships at the ripe old age of 22. My first one was totally different to the second one. The first one, we had met a couple of times in person, and basically the relationship started with him being away. So he moved away to do sixth form college already before we'd started dating.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was already away, we'd been messaging. Strange situation, we ended up dating. And that relationship lasted for, I'd say, roughly a year, give or take, maybe a little bit
Aw.
less. Yeah, a little 15-year-old, 16-year-old me
Oh my god.
doing long distance in what world? And then my second one
Uh-huh.
was with a boyfriend I'd been with for 2 years already.
Double aw.
I know.
Yeah.
High school sweetheart situation. We'd had a really great relationship before, and it wasn't the time to end things. And so we were like, okay, we're going to give this a go. And I did long distance with him for 2.5 years. So nearly all through my bachelor degree.
Wow. You could have a degree in long distance relationships. You
Yeah.
actually have more credit hours with
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. I have as much time working on the relationship
Yeah.
as I did on uni.
180 ECTs. That's what you need to pass
Oh my
the
goodness.
course.
Yeah.
And what about you, Missy? Sorry to interrupt your champagne gulp.
No worries. Mine is much lesser than Mana's. Mine was also very young. I was 18 when I got into it. It lasted for 1.5 years. Yours?
Still a long time.
Long time.
I'm sorry, I forgot to awe for you.
Aw.
It didn't end in awe, so it's fine. So it was that. I was also very young. We weren't even high school sweethearts. I met him in my gap year. So it was basically like we were both going to college. We think it will work if we like stay together, so we might as well. And on top of that, I come from Kathmandu, which is a very, very small city.
Sure.
So getting in and out of any relationship, like be it romantic or not, is a big, big deal. So I think I also didn't want to face that conflict and like confront people talking about it, you know. Not that I don't think a lot of people knew, but again, for whoever knew, I didn't want it to be like, oh, a big deal that, you know,
sure.
they both left for college so they couldn't do it or whatever. So we did what we could and we lasted 1.5 years. But yeah, it wasn't, now that I look back at it, it wasn't the great love story that I think it was, you know. But that's my take
Don't
on
put
it.
it down. 1.5 years that's an achievement long distance wise.
I mean, yeah, I do think
That's true.
I deserve an award, but that's for other matters.
Humanitarian aid.
Oh yeah, definitely for
Wow.
philanthropic endeavors.
Oh, wow. I'm really joined by two experts here. That's no one's gonna ask me. Fine.
Yeah,
Yes,
Mark.
Mark.
You ever been in a long distance relationship?
I think all of my relationships have been long distance because the lengths I've had to travel
The lengths you've had to go to.
mentally,
Emotionally,
physically, to
Make
make
up
these
for
men
long distance, huh?
to make these men seem adequate.
Animals seem like men. Let's just put it that way.
Don't I donate to the animals. Don't put them down like that. No, I had one baby long distance relationship during a quarantine of this year. And that's ironic because we only lived about 30 minutes away from one another. But with the lockdown measures, it really was like you couldn't see each other. So
Yeah.
I can't expect to relate to the combined like half-decade experience the two of you have. But it was hard for me.
No, but I think whatever relationship 2020, like you are in 2020,
Yeah.
is a long distance relationship.
True.
Like no matter what, it's just that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You're physically away. I
Yeah.
think you're emotionally away also, maybe. I don't know.
Added
Definitely.
layers here.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, okay, obviously we're talking about like long distance romantic relationships here, but it is anytime you add in distance, it can be difficult to maintain some
Yeah.
sort of relationship whatsoever.
Yeah.
So the three of us all have that with our
Yeah.
families because we all live pretty much equally as far apart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
3 different continents, actually. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And
So
we kind of all met in the
In the
furthest
center.
point
Yeah.
away in the center. Oh, that's
Yeah.
actually cute.
Yeah. Oh.
We're like a whole little compass right now, north,
know.
south, east, and west.
international family.
amazing.
Yeah.
Look, now here we are talking about our long distance
Look at us.
I know.
experiences.
I know. Well, I think we need to get into it then. The really important question I need to know from both of you
Mm-hmm.
Shoot.
is long distance the end of the world?
My answer would be this really depends on on the foundation you have and what your priorities are. So obviously going to uni, going to parties and stuff, people are always going to ask, so do you have a boyfriend? What's going on? And every time I tell people I'm in a long distance relationship, the answer is always like, oh my God, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I could never.
Mm-hmm.
And
What are you supposed to say? What are you supposed
Yeah.
to say to
Yeah.
that?
I was always like,
Good for you, I guess.
yeah, it's a
You're
tough
like, don't worry,
one.
sweetie. We can't all be this fabulous.
We can't all do it. But I think if you really are dedicated to it and you have a goal in sight, an end goal, I think it is doable. And I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. There's trust, communication, an end goal, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't have to be the end of the world. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is the end goal more important? Because like obviously when you're together, maybe you don't need to focus on that. But when you're apart, that's like all that keeps you
Yeah.
on track.
I mean, maybe it's not all that keeps you on track, but being able to know that this is not always going to be the case is
Okay. Yeah.
it's very important, because otherwise what are you doing? Are you going to spend your whole
Sure.
life messaging somebody or calling somebody?
Oh my God.
So I think that is something that's really important. If you know you're working towards something,
Yeah.
it can be doable. That's my take on things.
Wish someone would have told me that, like in 2017. But anyway,
What was your end goal?
not to kill that person, maybe. Anyway, no, I'm just joking. My thought process for this was that I was very young when I did it, and probably not even as emotionally mature. So my end goal was, if I don't make it out of this relationship, or I don't make this relationship last, then this is it. There's no future. There is nothing. What does that say about myself? What does that say about the other person? And I think I forgot to factor in the many variables that you mentioned, like insecurity and trust, and what is the end goal at the end of the day? And then I also think I was a little afraid to define an end goal, because I was young.
Yeah.
As much of a commitment freak that I am, and by that I mean I like commitment, not that I'm commitment phobic.
Yeah.
I think still at like 18, you don't want to commit to something that
big thing.
Yeah. So maybe so maybe even externally I might have been saying, okay, this is it, end all, it all. I'm marrying this person, I'm having this person's children. But then inside I might have been like, okay, what if?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's hard to be that in love with someone who's not around you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we met only a couple of times back home.
Yeah.
We weren't meeting every day, and we were like, this is it. We want to last forever. That we didn't know what it was like to like live with each other every day and get used to that too. So maybe that's why my viewpoint was very, very different. And then, I would have been one of those people in the parties asking you, how do you do it? Mine didn't work.
Yeah. Well, I think to like build on what you're saying and what I said previously is that I think a lot of long distance relationships work better if you have a grounding. So my first one, there wasn't a grounding. You know, we started this online.
Yeah.
My second one, we'd had 2 years of going to school together every single day and spending every single weekend together. So as you can imagine, the thought of being apart was like, oh my God, well, we're going to have to make this work.
Yeah.
So.
But that's like so interesting, because I think that, like you said, served as a foundation for your relationship then, and it lasted as long as it did, which I think is important. And for me, like, if someone does propose the idea of a long distance relationship now, I would still say no, because I'm like, okay, then what? Like, do you want to marry me at the end of it, or are we doing this just for fun?
You did this for what?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, do you just want a video call every day? Because sure, I can do that for you, whatever. But are you gonna, am I gonna have a ring and a bump at the end of this?
Ring and a bump.
No, you'll just get like a snap streak. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't know, anxiety issues.
Yeah. Will you pay for my therapist?
No, this is interesting. So you need like a common ground point as the starting point, and you need some idea of some sort of end goal.
I think so. You know, some people start relationships online. They've never met. They manage to navigate this whole thing. But personally, and all of these opinions I'm going to give today are from a very personal, specific perspective. I think the reason my relationship lasted so long is because we really had that basis. We really knew each other well. After I left high school, we lived together for 6 months, basically lived together in Cape Town. So yeah, we had a good foundation before we left, and we knew how we communicated with each other, how the other person is in real life. So
That's so wholesome, to be honest, and very healthy. I think I would.
Yeah.
I think this is the kind of. I mean, sure, we're not experts, but if we were giving advice, I think this is what I would even tell couples who probably have to
No,
do
sure.
long distance, like married couples, like military wives or military husbands. You
Yep.
know.
This is the advice that I would come back to.
Yeah,
at some
absolutely.
Point. I now
Yeah.
understand why my little
30-minute
30-minute long distance
Yeah.
relationship didn't work, because there was no common ground point. We had one date the day before lockdown started, and then it was just a video call a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when the idea came up of turning this into a proper long distance relationship, obviously I was coming back to Europe. All I knew is, no, that's a bad thing. That is difficult. So I
Yeah.
don't want it.
Yeah.
Rightfully so in that situation.
Yeah.
But
No, there are intricacies. I definitely believe so. But
yeah.
as long as you are aligned
yeah,
and are on the same page, and every day you're like kind of reminded that this
Sure.
is what we're doing it for,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth it.
well, but
Yeah.
you just mentioned people who pull that off really well, which is like military spouses, like husbands and wives, like whose partners are in the service, have to like be really
Yeah.
used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard though when you're in your 20s and when you're
Oh,
a student
absolutely.
and the world is telling you to just go live your life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you have to be home by 5 to cook dinner for the partner that's not even there, and to put the kids to bed that you don't even have yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was something that I got quite a lot, and I'm sure he got a lot.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't bring this up with me, but obviously there were people
Yeah.
like, yeah, but you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're not married. And
Yeah. Yeah.
like, that is really
I was probably one of those
something
people.
which a lot of
Yeah.
people say. They're like, but why?
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah,
You
what's the
know?
point?
Yeah.
And I guess looking back in my head, I was always like, well, I want to be with this person, so I'm going to make it
Yeah.
work. And I don't really care about hooking up with other people, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So I think this all goes back to your priorities. Like, can you
Sure.
prioritize that person? If you can, great. If you're not
Yeah.
sure, don't
Yeah.
do it. You're just both going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah, and I don't think having children or putting that pressure on children, like, okay, I have kids, that's why I need to stay with him. Or we're married, we have a joint bank account and
Yeah.
legal documents that call us husband and wife, so we need to stay
Yeah.
together.
That's not a solution either.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the end goal. Like, your relationship shouldn't be based on, you
Yeah.
know, like things that
Yeah.
need to be sorted out in court, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you need feelings, you need like intentions, and like you said, priorities at the end of the day.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I mean, we're living in
The
an
era of
age-
long
Yeah.
the era. No, I was gonna say like the era of the hoe phase.
Yeah.
The whole
True.
phase.
And even if you don't want to participate in that, you've got to at least be curious.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, everyone's curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's difficult not to be.
And then something you Shar brought up earlier too, like you're always in the back of your head, what if there's something
Yeah.
better
Yeah, that's what I
I
said in
could
one
find?
of yeah.
I hate this line of thinking, but it's also just part of our human nature.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's what comes with our generation
Yeah.
and why I'm generalizing, but most of the population is so commitment phobic is because if they're cuffed to someone, if they're in like boyfriend girlfriend with someone, then like I think in the back of their mind they're like, okay, now I have this person, but what if there's a better person out
Yeah.
there that I
It's-
haven't met yet?
Especially if that better person's also living in the same time zone as me
Yeah.
for a start.
Exactly.
But that's, I think, a factor that plays in any relationship.
Sure.
True.
I mean, long distance, maybe it's amplified, but in any relationship, you can be like, well,
Yeah.
there could be some
Yeah.
Romeo, some
Yeah.
Juliet out there that's way
Yeah.
better.
It's fine. That's why we create fantasy versions of them in our heads
Exactly.
instead.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which can also get dangerous, especially the more time you spend away from someone.
Uh-huh.
Oh, for sure.
The more gaps you have, and then you fill in the gaps with what you want
Yeah.
that information to be.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Oh, absolutely.
This is miscommunication. Like that is the quadratic
101.
formula
Yeah.
Yeah.
for how miscommunication can work.
Yeah.
And different expectations and
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Yeah, you said it so perfectly. Like it wasn't in my mind, but I couldn't really verbalize it.
Yeah.
But this is what it is. You make an ideal person in your head.
Sure.
You build
Yeah.
a bear that person.
Oh
And then when you meet that person after like 7 months, you're like, oh wait, you're
Oh,
kind of
different.
not that person in my head anymore.
Yeah. I
And
mean, so I think my first boyfriend really built me up to be somebody that I
Okay.
was not. I was the receiving end of this strange fantasy of who
Mhm.
I was.
no.
And it was pretty jarring, I think, for him to realize that, okay,
Yeah.
this is not real. And there was a lot of hurt that came with that. And I think
Oh
that
wow.
that is the one of the dangers of long distance,
Yeah.
not seeing anybody for 6 months at a time,
Yeah.
especially when you go off to uni, you go off to maybe have a new job, you're going to
Yeah.
grow and you're going to change.
Oh my God, tremendous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Overnight, so
I'm
much
not the
growth.
same person I was a year ago,
And but
6 months
Absolutely
ago.
not.
how
Absolutely
yeah,
not.
how do you share that wonderful experience with
Yeah.
them?
So you can become somebody totally
Mm.
different in their
Yeah.
minds, communicating over the fucking interwebs.
Yeah. I think that's what scares me also about long distance is that they're not a part of my evolution anymore.
Oh.
And they just see the end product, but then
Uh-huh.
they're comparing apples to oranges.
No, I know.
Which is not fair on me, but neither is it fair on them because they didn't really see me metamorphosize or, you know.
Ooh, snaps again.
From
Vocab word.
cocoon,
But that's
Yeah.
hard. And then
beautiful butterfly.
Aw.
what are you supposed to do when you're together? Just you have to like fill in all of those gaps, all of the information that they missed, all the
Yeah.
things they missed out on. And like if you haven't seen each other in 6 months, those are not the gaps that need to be filled. Okay, but you've got a lot of
There are other gaps.
miscommunication you need to
Yeah.
solve first.
There are other holes that need filling.
That's why I said it didn't need repeating though.
But
Just
like,
reiterating it.
but I was just thinking, like, I even remember seeing my second boyfriend at the airport for the first time. We had been apart for 6 months, and he was like, "Wow, you're really short." Not in a mean way, not in a mean way. He was
What?
like, "You're much smaller than I remember." Like, and it's so sad that you've been with somebody for 3 years, and it comes as shock comes as a shock to
Shock,
them
yeah.
that you're
Short.
no. Oh my god, that came out wrong. It wasn't like, oh my god, you're short. But it was like,
Did he
Yeah,
hit a growth
I
spurt
almost
while you were
forgotten.
away?
no, but it was almost like, I forgot who you are in person,
Oh,
you know?
that
And that's
kinda
really
hurt.
sad.
Ouch.
Wow, this didn't mean to become so deep, so sudden. But you know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Yeah.
never mind the personal growth.
Yeah.
You just not
Forget the
forget the other
person.
person, but you don't see them for so long,
Yeah.
and you communicate and create
Yeah.
something that maybe is different in person.
Yeah,
No.
that's the danger of the fantasy.
Yeah,
And it'll be in any relationship, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if your love language is physical affection. Imagine how much that impacts you when you
Or
like,
quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
I mean, you can have quality time over a video call, a normal call, whatever, but
Yeah.
you know, it's totally different to just sitting on the couch and doing nothing with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoying silences, enjoying quiet times.
For sure.
That's the little things, I think.
Yeah, so talking about that quality time over video calls, sitting on the couch doing nothing, and the little things. What role does sexting play in all of this?
I think very big.
A big role.
A big role.
Oh, if your exes are listening, they'll at least be flattered by that.
Oh,
Oh no.
I hope not.
And there we just lost three. We just lost 3 listeners.
Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. Please don't listen.
I'm
from here.
not.
You're not.
Sorry.
Well, yes, no. This is a sex positive program, so we're a sexting positive program too.
I'll answer that question first because it's very short for me.
Mhm.
Sexting is important,
Yeah.
especially if it's a long distance relationship, because what else do you have? Genuinely, what else do you have apart from your toys and yourself? Genuinely.
True.
If you're a faithful person, that is, unless,
Ooh.
of course, you
Wait,
wanna,
we'll come back to that.
Yeah. But But yeah, I think it's important. I think it does build a bond. Sure, it also adds to the kind of fantasy ideal person that we think that person is,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. Can be a little toxic.
Well,
But
and
again,
it can be very well presented too. You're really
Yeah.
sculpting your angles,
yeah.
Literally.
you know, and
Quite very
lighting
literally.
and fluffing. Yeah.
And I think, intimacy, blah, 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 it's a basic human right.
Oh,
So
wow.
in-
Amen, Mana.
You and Cardi B are going to be nominated for
Amen.
a Nobel Peace Prize this year.
but you can't have a relationship without or grown up relationship with somebody
Yeah.
without being intimate with them.
Basically.
And long distance, you have to make some sort of a plan.
Oh,
And I'm
Yes.
afraid that involves messages and video calls.
Yeah.
next time
Put it
I
bluntly.
ask someone for nudes and they don't reply, I'm going to file
This is my human right.
I'm going to file a human rights complaint.
Send me nudes.
Yeah.
Now.
You heard it here first from not me, by the way. You deserve intimacy.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
But
like you said, for a faithful person.
yeah.
I mean, unless you're going out to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's going to give you what you want. You're
Dick's
going to
right.
Tom, Dick, and Harry. You're going to need to rely
Just
on.
the little things, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's why they invented Snapchat.
Yeah.
Is it
Not
not?
even.
Oh yeah. It was supposed
Yeah.
to be like Dick Snap or something like that.
Dick
Like
Snap.
it was meant for dick pics.
Well, and I'm a visual learner, but I always forget sexting can also just be very like
Just
Text-based.
words, Yeah.
Yeah.
audio message based.
Yeah, I think it definitely is
Yeah.
important.
You don't need like
because-
a 4K webcam on your nightstand.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. But yeah, if you don't have that, you can almost guarantee that this other person is going to be looking for that kind of attention elsewhere.
Mhm.
Yeah. And,
Um,
yeah, and I think, I mean, not that I know you guys so much, like I'm not your mothers, but also
I hope my mother doesn't know more
oh my
about.
god.
I hope she has no more insight on this topic than either of you would. But finish your thought.
no, but we value, like you said, intimacy and sexual compatibility. And I think we need that.
Anybody
Yeah.
needs that. It's important.
Sure.
It's a part of a functional, healthy relationship. If you can't be
Unless you're
intimate,
asexual, of
it's
course.
you-
Yeah.
then there you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. And then when you're not getting that intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
is that a stepping stone towards some issues starting to come up, some insecurities, some jealousies? How does that go for y'all?
Do you mean like if we weren't engaging in some sort of sexting or
Maybe it's
Yeah.
bigger than just sexting. Maybe like when, this whole thing has been a story of like communication or miscommunication.
Yeah.
So like when that's starting to break down, or like when the distance or like when the time is really getting to you,
Mm-hmm.
is that where the issues come from?
I mean, I think in any relationship, long distance or in person, if you don't feel that that other person is attracted to you or wants to
Mm-hmm.
see you or be intimate with you, it's quite hurtful. You want
Yeah.
you want to know that they want you. You want to know that they need you
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
way. And so I think it's pretty reassuring in a way to know that you have that, to know that you
Mm.
guys are on the same page in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think if it was falling off and you guys weren't engaging in any sort of sexual way for 6 months, then
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, you know that they're getting that somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or you know that there's something fundamentally wrong in the
Yeah.
relationship.
Hmm.
Building
Because-
off of that, I do want to ask you, Mana, was insecurity a huge part of your long distance experience?
The first one, yes, definitely. We had a lot of issues with insecurity, and I think that this goes back to what I was saying about having a foundation. We didn't have that foundation.
Mhm.
So with my second one, no, actually, I never felt insecure, and I don't think he did either. At least I hope he didn't. We really trusted each other, and we'd be very free with each other. And I think that that's another really important thing in
Hmm.
long distance. It's to be like, I trust you. Go and do what you need to do. The second you start limiting somebody is where it's going to fall apart.
True.
So with trust and like going out. We're both at uni. We both want to get out. We want to be drunk, and you don't want to be freaking out every Wednesday and Friday evening.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, he's going out. What is he going
Yeah.
to do?
Yeah.
So we used to call, and I think the last thing we would say on the call is like, have fun, have some drinks. Remember the one rule, no boys, no girls. And then that was like, go have fun.
Aw.
That's so cute.
So insecurity for me at that time wasn't a thing, but I think it definitely can be a huge
Yeah.
pitfall
Yeah.
for many people.
Well, yeah. I mean, there'll be insecurity in any relationship on earth,
Yeah.
probably at some point by some party.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the social scientist in me is trying to model if long distance like exacerbates that.
I think it does.
It does. It
Generally.
does.
Yeah.
For
It's-
sure.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm a very territorial person.
Yeah.
I'm a person with trust issues, and I get insecure a lot. It's a very me thing.
Mhm.
I admit it. It's a problem that I need to work through. However, I think I owe it to myself and that my partner owes it to me that they reaffirm me and reassure me that I have nothing to
Sure.
worry about. So I think that also plays a huge part, that insecurity is met with reaffirmation.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in
same
person.
rules.
Yeah, God. You need to know that the other person you can trust. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if they're 1,000 miles away or they're next door, they could be cheating on you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Trust me. I know.
Oh, God. Not a reality we want to confront, huh?
Absolutely not. But I think same thing. Like the issues of jealousy. Again, it can be regardless of the distance, but also probably exacerbated when it's long distance.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And
And especially with like technology these days,
Oh.
if they decide to go to bed early and then let's say you don't have an advantageous time zone difference,
Yeah.
you might be left 24 hours, like a complete cycle of having
Yeah.
not heard from them,
And that would
festering,
drive me
boiling.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
oh, for sure.
Absolutely. But then that's the thing, like, again, with technology, your phone is in your hands 24/7.
Yeah.
Be real about your weekly screen time, please. Okay. Like, excuse me, but you have your phone in your hand like 24/7. A text before you sleep that says, listen,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be available for the next this many hours.
Sure.
Because either I'm sleeping or I have to get up early and go to work, whatever. Whatever your excuse is, fine. Just give me that text and be
Yeah.
like, this is what's happening. I'll be fine. I'll breathe easier, if anything,
Sure.
Yeah.
And
What do you think of those? Have you seen those dumb little gadgets? It's like you both have
Oh
this
my God.
matching bracelet you wear,
hate
and it would
it.
like
It's like
give you the
vibrates or something.
vibration of their pulse, or I don't know, like a teddy bear that. You know those
Listen.
things?
if you really want something that vibrates
Vibrates.
on sync, that can be arranged.
Ma'am.
Lol.
But other than that, I don't see the point. If you're
yeah, I mean,
FaceTime,
it's cute, but yeah, what's the point?
what's the point?
Mark's like,
I think it might be cute, but
I mean,
whatever.
it's cute. but
Okay.
Charmaine's much more concerned about other vibrating tools together.
Stop it.
That's what matters. We just talked about intimacy.
Because I don't look. I like to have my quiet time and my freedom, and I would know the other person would too. So
Yeah.
if all I get is a little vibration once or twice a day from them,
hmm
that would keep me sane for a bit.
Yeah. I think long.
Yeah, go on.
Oh no, I was gonna say I think long distance definitely has the potential to build up things in your head.
Yeah.
We're talking about these fantasy situations. They
Yeah.
can also be fucking nightmare situations where
Exactly.
you're like, oh my god, what is she doing?
Yeah.
Who are they with? I'm not there. Are they gonna tell me the truth? And I think that you have to have the trust.
Sure.
And if you have the trust, okay,
Yeah.
maybe you'll get through that. If you don't,
Yeah.
yeah, good luck.
Like you said in the beginning, Shar, until you're legally bound to them.
True.
It's a minefield to navigate.
Yeah. And especially, right, like, okay, like for you, like you were in uni. Was he also going to uni?
Mhm.
Yeah. And the same for me. It's like we're kind of on the same page where we want new friends, where we
Mhm.
want new cliques
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So we can't really bar them from having friends of the opposite sex because we're going to have friends of the opposite sex or whatever,
Yeah.
of different gender spectrum.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think barring people, so I have friends who are in long distance relationships too.
Yeah.
And I think where this falls
Yeah.
completely down is where you start to limit the other person.
Mm.
Because if it ends and you've been there, like, you can't go out, I don't want you to hang out with that person, I don't want this,
Yeah.
when the relationships ends, they're going to be like, well, great, I spent the first 2 years of uni in my room for you and it was worth nothing.
Wow.
So it's very important to be like, do what you want, and I trust you
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
to consider me in those decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so, but I mean, same story. We keep harping on this point. Like, those issues exist in any
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
Boundaries are important to set in any
Yeah.
relationship.
Mhm.
But long distance makes it harder.
Harder.
But what is the key? All at once?
Communication.
Wow.
Communication.
Who knew?
Science.
BSc.
Yes.
Who
God.
who thought you would ever hear about that on this program?
Who'd have thunk?
Who'd have thunk?
Communication
Oh my
from 3 comm students. Wow.
goodness.
We really
Okay.
we're like juicing our degree to the nth degree. Like
Oh man.
like every euro we spend
Yeah.
on this institution,
Get it back out.
we
Juice
need
it.
it. We
Yes.
need it.
That's the only way to rationalize it.
That's the only way to rationalize why I did a communication science bachelor. Be useful on someday.
No, my gosh.
I also have go on.
Speaking of being useful someday,
Mm.
can long distance relationships bring you any benefit? Because I, like most of the listeners, are probably incredibly discouraged right now.
Oh no. No, listen, from my perspective, I think, like I said, with these end goals, whether they are one day we want to move in and get married, or in 3 months I'm going to see you and we're going to have a great holiday together. Those months you spend apart, if they're not spent fighting and combating one another, they can be very valuable. So yeah, in that way, you can have a valuable support system behind you in a long distance relationship. And when you see each other, it's like, wow, we made it. This is really great. But on the other hand, yeah, the things you're
On the
You
other hand,
are-
yeah, it shouldn't.
you're
it's-
sacrificing a lot.
Yeah.
Long distance comes with sacrifice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it depends if you're willing to sacrifice those things. And some people won't.
Yeah.
And
hopefully it's just a temporary.
yeah,
status.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean. It's like you
Yeah.
hope that this isn't forever, because then, no,
Yeah.
it's definitely not worth it to spend your life alone.
Yeah.
So, Shah, what do you think?
Any benefits on your end?
In my personal opinion, at the ripe age of almost 22, not 22 yet, I still have a few weeks to go, 2 weeks. Anyway, I personally wouldn't do it
Yeah.
unless I am legally bound to someone.
Oh my god.
So you want
I-
to be married, and then you would like.
That's not
commit.
strong enough.
I mean, if I'm married, I wouldn't like to be apart with them, obviously. But if I am going to be in a long distance relationship with them, for example, just because of work, commitments, etc., etc.,
Yeah.
I'd rather know that at the end of the day, I'm going to get married to that person. We're
Yeah.
eventually going to be together, and it's a very temporary situation.
Mm-hmm.
For now, even if I am not the kind of person like who likes hookups or whatever. So even if I'm seriously dating right now,
Yeah.
and I'm very much in love with that person, even in that situation, unless like I see an engagement at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And by engagement, I mean, yes, exchanging of rings and
Yeah.
all that stuff. I'm not going to commit to it because my one and only experience I've had with it has been absolutely horrendous.
Aw.
0 out of 10. Wouldn't recommend.
Yeah.
And because of that reason, I'm biased, obviously.
Sure.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying long
Yeah.
distance is easy.
Oh,
I'm not saying like
absolutely.
if you have a logical choice,
to choose that
Yeah,
in
like,
any
you know,
any
don't put
yeah.
yourself through this. To the listeners out there, do not do it unless you're certain about it. And maybe that certainty will change with time. If you're
Yeah.
going into it certain, power to you, but
Yeah.
don't put yourself into this really fucking difficult, pretty
Yeah.
shitty position
Yeah.
lightheartedly.
And even if you're gonna do a long distance relationship, for me, like, I wouldn't say starting off with you being in 2 different continents. That's just, I think, a very extreme version of it already.
That's
Yeah.
true. We've put ourselves in a
Yeah.
unique position.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, long distance to them is like a long train ride away,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. And that's not the long distance we mean. That long distance for us means like, oh, we're in 2 different continents. There's a transit flight to reach
Yeah.
the destination, you know?
See you in 6 months.
Yeah.
I think long distance would be any distance where it's like so inconvenient to like ask them to come over randomly,
Yeah,
sporadically.
exactly.
Do you want to
Yeah.
hang out tonight?
Yeah.
Mhm.
If they're
I can't, babe. I'm in
Yeah.
a different continent.
Oh my god.
It's winter down
Exactly.
here. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
And especially in Europe, like, okay, Germany is like what? Few hours away?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Belgium is a few hours away. France is a few hours away, and so is Italy. So
Well, I've dated someone in Rotterdam before, and he thought that was a long distance
long
relationship.
Oh,
It's
I
a
should-
42-minute express train
Oh
ride.
my god.
I should keep that in mind.
I think
Anyway.
my commute to work was longer than that when I lived in California.
Yeah.
No, we love
No,
Rotterdam,
but
though.
if it's a city that's within your hour's reach, that's not long distance. Please, for God's sake, you're just in 2 different cities. Live
Yeah.
with it. It's not long distance at all.
Mhm.
But if it's continents apart, yeah, that's something you need to consider, because you also have to think of reverse cultural shock, because you both are in different continents, and once you meet in the continent that you're both from,
Mhm.
you're exposed to so many different cultures, and like you said, you evolve into a different person.
Yeah.
You might not mesh again.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. If you,
Yeah.
especially also in the context of uni, like if you've both been going through this incredibly formative experience
Yeah.
in different places,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
things
you
will change a lot.
You change for sure.
You shrink, apparently.
Yeah, I shrunk. Apparently, I became smaller.
A girl's dream.
A
Mana.
girl's dream is to shrink. But yeah, like going back to your question, is there something you can take away from it? Maybe, but I would really recommend think about what you're going into. Do you
Yeah.
really want this?
Absolutely.
Is there an end in sight? Do you really trust each other? If you can answer those questions, maybe it'll work out. For those listeners who like maybe going off to uni, maybe going off
Yeah.
to a new job, I don't know, but it's a big decision, and don't do it lightly,
Yeah.
because breaking up over the phone is shit.
Oh.
Oh, don't even.
Before we talk about that, though, I do have to say,
Mm.
going off to uni, going out to get a job,
Mhm.
in our experience, is probably the better choice than to
Yes.
restrict yourself
Yes,
100%.
if you want to avoid a long distance relationship.
Yeah,
100%.
totally.
Until you have kids and a joint checking account to like
There
factor
you
in
go.
to the equation,
There you go.
like go off, queen.
I mean, yes. That's actually such a good point. It's like I remember a lot of my friends were going to study in South Africa, and I was at the time not one of the few, but I was going off to do something totally different,
Mhm.
and it was a tough decision. I could have taken the easy road and been like,
Yeah.
let me stay in South Africa, stay with my boyfriend, stay around my good friends.
Yeah.
So be it. But I didn't,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
happy that I made that decision in the long term.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't, for those listeners again,
Yeah.
don't restrict what you want to do for somebody else, because if it's really going to work out, it will in
Yeah.
the long term. Yeah, I totally think don't sacrifice your personal goals and your personal plans for somebody else, no matter what. Again, we always go back to like whether it's long distance or just a relationship.
Sure.
If you have a goal and you're considering changing it for somebody else,
Yeah.
rethink the person before you rethink your goals, I think.
Oh,
Because in the long term,
my Instagram bio.
Whoa.
That's it. I'm writing that on my CV. Quote unquote, rethink you're the person.
before you rethink the
the
goals.
goals.
Wow, I'm
Mana.
gonna update my Tinder bio right now.
Yeah. Mana, 1st November 2020. I absolutely agree. And this has been so insightful in so many ways. I wish like I said, I will keep harping this on. I will keep echoing this. I will keep repeating
Absolutely.
this. I wish I had known this at 18. I wish I was emotionally mature enough at 18. But having said that, if I weren't dumb, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
You
you know
know?
what? You have to be.
Wait. That's got to be my Tinder
If I
bio.
weren't
That's
dumb, I
my new
wouldn't be
Tinder
here.
bio.
Exactly. If I weren't dumb, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, you have to be dumb sometimes to learn.
Exactly. Sometimes you have to be dumb.
Communication science.
Be dumb. Learn what you can. If it sucks, it sucks. It'll be over
Yeah.
sometime.
Yes.
Yeah, just deal with it. That's it. Deal with it and move the fuck on, guys. That's what I did. Worked out perfectly. And thankfully we have a degree for it. In
Did it help?
conclusion. In conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mana.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so
This
much.
was so fun.
Absolutely
This was
fun.
so lovely.
Thank you for having me.
And I didn't think it would be so substantial. I just
No.
thought it would be like us, yapping away and having a
Yeah.
conversation. But this is like genuine,
I think so.
insightful shit.
I've learned. I knew going into this
Mhm.
episode, I don't have the experience the two of you do, but I learned. So
Yeah.
I know now how the viewers might feel, I hope. But no, thank you, Mona. It's been fun having our first
Yeah,
guest here.
Yeah.
Great to be here. Can't wait to
Wow.
hear it. Can't wait to hear the rest of you guys'
I wonder who
episodes.
we can get next.
Yeah. And we can't wait to have you back again.
Absolutely, because we have a lot more stories to
Yeah.
tell,
Oh
I think.
god. Here we go.
We want the alter ego Mana to come out next.
Watch out.
But anyways, you will have to wait to hear that Mana someday. So keep tuning in.
Yes.
And we'll let you know when that's going to happen.
Amazing.
But this is it for episode 7, guys. It has
Mhm.
been super nice, super wholesome, I would say, super exciting, super fulfilling, and all the good adjectives that, again, we're going to use as hashtags in our Instagram posts. If you haven't already, follow us on,
Audacity.fm, nearly everywhere. But
apart from Twitter.
check us out on our Linktree /audacity.fm, and you'll find all of our social medias. You'll also find all of the podcast platforms we're available on.
Yes. And don't forget to like our content, interact with our content,
Yeah,
comment,
help us
leave
out.
leave a review,
Grow with us.
share.
And make sure you tune in to our next episode because we have a very important
and
announcement to make.
special announcement
Special announcement.
that we're so excited about.
So be ready for that. Be on the lookout. And in the meantime, share this with your friends
More importantly, share this with your enemies.
and share this with your long distance partners.
Definitely give them a crash course on communication.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alrighty. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.